Welcome back to part 3 of my Grandstand Milsim series. Now part 3 will just be a talk about what happened during the night. As I didn't have the ability to record in the dark, a lot of good footage was lost. After my team gets fragged on a corner of the building, I move into the ditch in this location and I provide observation on enemy troop movements and report back to my team. While I'm in the ditch, 3 guys turn up on the berm opposite. One of them has night vision, and as he's about to shoot me, I notice it's 3 players from call sign 5-2. I call the guy over and we link up together where we carry on providing overwatch, where they had comms to the ops room between them and we were providing information and intel back to the ops room. After providing overwatch for some time, Zero Alpha then gives us permission to go in and search the buildings for any enemy intel. We start by searching Alpha 1. Going into Alpha 1, we didn't find any enemy personnel in there, but we did find a few IEDs. Zero Alpha then requests me to link back up with 5-1, as we have been tasked with a different task. Linking back up with 5-1, we patrol down this road to go on an intel gathering mission. As we get to the bend in the road, there are 2 enemy players in the bushes keeping us pinned. We are unable to see them, but they can see us. Then they've got vehicle support who just come near us and park right next to us and keep us pinned. We then drop back to the fob and request assistance. Going back to the ops room, we explain to Zero Alpha that it's virtually a choke point and you cannot get through without vehicle support. They then provide the Dutch to go down as a distraction while we infill on the other side of the lake by boat. We cross the lake during the night. We do a few fake drop-off points in case we are seen by the enemy, but we are dropped off in this location at the base of Cardiac Hill where we patrol to the top. The boat then sits tight for 10 minutes for us to radio in to say that we are safe just in case we need an emergency exfil. After that we'd have to radio in and call for exfil and it'd take 10 minutes for them to get back to our location. After 10 minutes we radio back to 2-0 to tell them that it's okay for the boat to leave. We then reach the top of Cardiac Hill where we find out our comms are now down to the ops room or command. We then have a decision to make. Do we patrol back round the other side of the lake and back to the fob that way, which is a good hour and a half walk? Or do we drop down Cardiac Hill and still try and gather some intel from the Alpha buildings? Sitting on the top of Cardiac Hill, we have some pretty good assets. We have a night vision goggle, and we also have 2 thermal imaging scopes where we can spot enemies from a good distance before they see us. After scanning the area for some time with the thermal imaging scopes, we only really see 1 or 2 enemies patrolling around the Alpha buildings plus a vehicle, so we decide to drop down and use the night vision before moving and also the thermal before moving into positions so to avoid being spotted. We decided to use the area that we were fighting in part 1 to move through because we know there's quite a lot of cover in this area and a lot of dead ground for the enemies not to see us. We then move through there and we reach the outside of Alpha 5 where we decide to go in quiet. The reason we went in quiet and not loud is because the amount of buildings that are still in this area that have yet to be searched, and we didn't want to give our position away just yet and have the whole enemy team against us. As the rooms are in total darkness, Sam goes in first with the night vision because he can virtually see everything, and then we wait for his call before we turn our flashlights on. It's pretty funny moving through the buildings in the dark where people are sleeping, because you can just hear them snoring and you can't see where they are. But Sam gives us the nod to turn our flashlights on, and there is only 2 guys asleep in this room, and one of them turns out to be the dicker who rides the motorbike. Waking the dicker up, we then tell him to come with us because we know he has quite a lot of intel on the area and the enemy. But he doesn't want to play ball and he says that he's not playing no more and the game's over for him, and he calls Index. But Index is the next day, so if you're in that area, you're in play. But we just left them to it and just told them that they were dead and not to follow us anyway. Moving out at Alpha 5, we then moved through Code Spot Yellow and into the courtyard between Alpha 3 and Alpha 4. Alpha 2 isn't in play, so we move into Alpha 4, which was empty, and then we move into Alpha 3, where we find a jeep with a 50 cal on the top. But there was no enemies in that area neither. Reaching the end of Alpha 3, as we're about to go through the door, a vehicle turns up outside the doorway. We hang tight and let the vehicle drive past, where we then move into Alpha 1. Moving into Alpha 1, I know there's quite a few IEDs in this building after checking with the Irish. So we take it carefully and move through slowly as there's quite a lot of rooms in Alpha 1. As with all the Alpha buildings, we're moving through as silently as we can be. But as I cross through a doorway, I turn on my flashlight because I have a funny feeling something's by my feet. Looking down, and my foot is about 2 inches away from a pressure plate IED. Feeling that it was a tripwire at first, I stand still and let the rest of my team move back in case it goes off, because it was wired to the P grenade. I then stepped back out the room, but it weren't a tripwire, it was just a pressure plate, and I'd luckily just missed it. So we bypassed it and moved back through to the last room that we hadn't cleared. As we're about to go in, we hear some noises inside, so we go in quietly, and there's 3 guys asleep in there. We just tell them that they're dead, and we go on our way. Moving through all the Alpha buildings, we only discovered 5 enemy in total out of the whole of the AS fighting force, so that left us one question to where they could be. Going back towards the fob, we decided to take the high road instead of cutting through the enemy position that had us pinned down earlier. We then get back to the fob and find out that we had missed our stag and Jake was covering it with the rest of his team, so nice one for that, boys. Once we finished what little stag we had left, we managed to get some scoff down and some hours kit before the big attack in the morning. The night game was probably the highlight of the whole lot for me, and most of the lads thought the same as well who deployed out on it. But obviously not having night vision and unable to record it to show you was a bit guttering as well, so I'm in the market to try and pick up some night vision and some decent recording equipment to start getting these night games in for you. So stay tuned for part 4, where you'll see us do the final attack onto Bagasola, and it's the final part of the Milsim series. Thanks for watching, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.